Hi, everybody. John Harris here with my pal Billy Smith. Excuse my camera work here for a second, but there we go. It's I need to sit up and change my posture, and that way, when my grandmother will be happy, and so will the camera. And I guess I'll go right from there. Okay, so here we go. Let's get started, Bill. Welcome everybody to the Cheap Seats, brought to you by Vineland Realty Corporation. My pal Dennis Ingraldi at 634 East Landis Avenue. We thank Dennis. I'm going to get you their phone number as well. Any of your business or residential real estate needs, go down and see Dennis and the folks at 634 East Landis Avenue in Vineland, New Jersey. If they can't help you, then they will find someone to help you. That's the kind of folks they are. So go down, see Dennis, see Helen, who's his girl Friday. She's there a couple days a week, helping out their whole crew down there. They know what they're doing. So go down and don't be afraid to ask them questions and tell them you were sent by the public, John, or you were sent because you watched this on from the Cheap Seats. Their phone number is 856-690-9482. That's 856-690-9482. It's the Vineland Realty Corporation, 634 East Landis Avenue in Vineland, New Jersey. We thank Dennis and everybody down there for helping us out. We appreciate it. Of course, the game they're going to want to hear about is Thursday night's game first. But maybe they'll want to hear about the Eagles' win this past week. Not a barn burner, didn't pull away like a lot of people I think thought they would, but they played pretty well against New England. Defense played well. I thought the defense played well. Offense only scored 2 touchdowns. That third one was scored by the defense on a pick six. So they might have a little work to do. And Bill, you've got an injury update on that game, I think, coming up. Right? The game coming up Thursday night?
Yep, Kenneth Gainwell is going to be ruled out for the Eagles, so they're going to go with DeAndre Swift, Boston Scott, and I guess Penny will be coming up
Rashard
off the
Penny,
practice
probably.
squad. Yeah.
Okay. So their starting running back, basically, Gainwell is going to be out. And he's a threat not just to run the ball, but also receiving. He's a threat out of the backfield. So that
Well, he was the lead guy last week. He had like 18 carries,
yeah,
had close to 100 yards, and
they'll have to spread it out a little bit. Do we know how serious the injury is at this point, Bill?
uh, not at the moment, but I could look it up.
Yeah, if you feel like it, we can look that up, get you to up to the date minute. While Bill does that, I will obviously tell you that if you're watching this, you should already know that Aaron Rodgers has definitely torn his Achilles. He is out for the season. He is contemplating whether to have surgery or not. And of course, he's already being asked, do you plan on returning next year? He has not answered that question as of yet. His coach, Robert Saleh, has said he doesn't see Aaron retiring because of this, because he says, he's too much of a competitor, and I don't think he'd want to go out that way. And, I think that's probably true with everything he's done. He's got a contract till 2025. I think that's probably true. Aaron Rodgers, if nothing else, then because of his legacy, isn't going to go out because of an injury. Of course, the other thing here in its ugly head too is turf versus grass, and the players are starting to active and retired players are both starting to say, "Hey, this is an ongoing problem." But I will say that Saleh stuck up for the turf in a way when he said this wasn't an injury that was due to grass or turf. This was a contact injury, because I could see if it was a non-contact injury or other non-contact injuries, you'd have a legitimate argument here to make. But this was an injury that was caused by contact. So it's kind of not really a problem.
I think the players union wants all the stadiums to be natural grass.
They do.
So
They do.
with the domes it'd be tough, but I guess if you have the retractable roof, it'd be all right.
It would be. The ones with retractable roofs, they could still do. I think you got Dallas, Arizona, Minnesota, I believe. You could probably do turf in those. I'm not sure about Detroit's. Detroit's might be an outside stadium now, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure.
So yeah.
So grass might be the way to go. It probably is, but will the owners do it? That's the problem. The good thing for them about turf, you pay for it once, then you got to replace it in a few years. Grass, constant maintenance, more staff, all kinds of things. So, so there's a little bit of a cost there, continual. And I'm sure that's why the owner said, sure, let's do this. But you got to remember, if you've got millions of dollars invested in players, then maybe you should sit back and go, I don't want to lose this guy and still have to pay him.
Right.
Because of a
you're losing in the long run. So
yeah, especially if it's a devastating injury that ends a career or takes him out for a season or two because of turf. And you're paying a guy, especially if it's a quarterback, you're liable to pay him $90 million and you don't have him for 2 years because of a turf injury. So you got to be careful.
But the Achilles is a tough injury. So I mean, and he's no spring chicken.
No, 39. He'd be 40 in December. So that's a tough. The other thing too is, even if he comes back, will he be the same? Because the rehab is forever on that. I had a tear in mine, didn't have to have surgery, but was still in a walking boot for 4 months, maybe quite a while, 16, 18 weeks, I think it was. I was still in that boot, couldn't do anything. Of course, my job made me keep working. They put me on light duty on the desk. But still, if it was do or die, like in this case, Aaron Rodgers can't go on the field, so it's he's deciding on surgery. I think he's going to consult with some other doctors, like second and third opinions and something like that. You can't blame him. So,
but in your case, you should have had some Aflac.
I actually, for that one I didn't have Aflac. You're right, but I did have when I hurt my shoulder at work, and I got to admit it came in handy. I wished I'd got it and renewed it, because then when I got hurt worse with this shoulder and my arms, Aflac was nice to have.
I wish I had it with the open heart surgery I had.
Exactly.
Could have been double dipping, but
oh well. Yep. But you keep thinking I'm going to save as we go. But all right, buddies. So let's get ready to make our picks. Are you ready?
Yeah, we want to go over last week what we did.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. You're right. Last week, Bill, with his straight up picks, was 7-9, 44%. His picks against the spread, he was 7-9, 44%. And over under, Bill was, drum roll please, 7-9, 44%. I was on straight up picks, 9-7, 56%. Against the spread, drum roll please, 7-9, 44%. Over under, 7-9, 44%. So outside of a couple picks, one being my upset pick with the Jets Monday night, which was, let's face it, it was a stroke of luck. And probably a missed penalty, though I think they still would have won it with a field goal, but because it was pretty deep in there. But the non-tripping call on the punt return. But even then, I think it was like at the 15 or 20. So at the worst, it would have made it a 38-yard field goal or something. Not saying he would have made it, because it was raining.
Yeah.
I'm thinking he would have made it. Chances were still pretty good they'd win it, because all they needed was the field goal, since they held. I was surprised more by Buffalo's play calling. They went conservative on the first play with a run play, and it went nowhere. And now you're in the hole, second and third downs. I mean, I was a bit surprised. I mean, there was no rollout by Josh Allen. There was no throw, even a slant or something, get 4 or 5 yards on first down. Nothing. That surprised me that they went 3 and out. And then, of course, you had the punt return. So
I didn't get to see much of it, because getting up at 4:30 in the morning, it's
no, for you that's tough. I mean, even that back here would have been like 3:30, so it still would have been,
Yeah.
It's still tough. I understand that, but I did watch it, and the penalty. I think you would have had to prove it was on. Well, you don't have to prove it. It happened. He did trip him up, but it didn't look like it was a leg whip kind of a thing. And if anything, he just overran his block. I don't know if you saw the highlight. What it amounted to is he overran the block, the blocker, and it was like he overran the guy. Other than that, he could have just shielded him. He didn't even need to put him on the ground. So, big return, big guy. Kid, I guess, was all over Hard Knocks before the game. So now that he scored a touchdown, he's in the limelight. Enjoy it, son. Probably won't last long because he is a special teamer. He doesn't play any other position. So,
But yeah, kudos to you for the upset special. That's very good.
thank you. And we both picked another upset. We both picked New Orleans, and they won by a point. And we were both all over that. We were both like, I just don't see it. And we were right. So it's just a matter of, getting a couple more weeks under our belts for the season, and I think we'll be okay. Remember, if anything, I think we were right with Vegas again last week because especially the over-unders. They didn't do so hot either. So all right, so let's get her started. Our first game is Thursday night on Amazon Prime. It is the Minnesota Vikings versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Philly is picked, and I just did these right before we came on the air. Philly is picked by 6.5.
Oh, it went down. Okay.
Yeah, it was 7, I think, yesterday. So it did go down half a point. Maybe Gainwell.
Yeah, and speaking of Gainwell, it's a rib injury. So
it is a rib injury.
He's out.
Yeah, it could be a couple weeks then because it's more pain tolerance than anything else.
Yeah,
but rib is painful.
Minnesota was kind of disappointing last week. They had a couple, they had like three turnovers I believe in the first half, and
that's what could kill them against
they
Philly.
kept Tampa, they kept tamping the game and came back and bite them in the rear.
Yeah, that was another one. I think we both picked it. I know I picked Tampa. I
both picked Minnesota.
You did?
I think we both.
Yeah, that was one I
took.
I think I took Tampa. Let me see. Yeah, you did take Minnesota, but you took Minnesota. Oh, you picked Minnesota to win the game. Oh, that was me. No, I lost them on the straight pick, but I had Tampa to cover.
Right.
Minnesota across the board, yeah. And we both lost the over-under as well. I noticed a lot of the over-under points from Vegas are dropping this week because there were a lot of lower scoring games.
There was a lot. Yeah. It's hard. The first week is either hit or miss, or
Yeah.
But 6.5 points are a lot of points.
Yeah.
But I just think the Eagles at home will do it. But you know what? I'll take the Eagles to win, but I'll take the 6.5. 6.5 is a lot of points.
So you're taking Philly straight, and against the spread, you're taking Minnesota. Over under is 49.
And I think that's going to be. I think that's going to. So you could run on Minnesota, so that could eat some clock up.
Remember though, Philly doesn't have their best running back.
Right. Yeah, well, I think we're going to go to over, even though the Thursday night games are usually yawners. But yeah, we'll take the over.
Okay, so you're going to go over on the 49. All right. Before we get to the next game, I'm going to pause right here just for a second and step away, Bill. This should only take a moment, and I will be right back. Meanwhile, if you have any other injury updates or something you want to give to the folks, feel free to do that. But if I'll do this, we'll be off the air in just a couple minutes, and that would not be good.
All right, folks. Yeah, a couple of the other updates. Cooper Kupp for the Rams. He's going to he's still on the IL and out 3 more additional games. We have the Ravens game. We have J.K. Dobbins. He also ruptured his Achilles, and he's out for the year. So they're going to have a running game by committee for the Ravens. What else we got?
Damar Hamlin didn't play, I know yet, Bill. I don't know if
Yes, DeMar Hamlin didn't play.
I don't know if he's going to be activated for this week or not. He actually wasn't even activated. They didn't have him on, but he was on the sideline. I saw that.
Darren Waller he's going to be questionable. He still has a hammy problem for the third year in a row.
He did play the other night.
But he did play. But Devontae Adams, he didn't practice today for the Raiders. What else we got?
There's a rumor he played. He didn't do much. There was a rumor. A catch, maybe 2 catches. Not necessarily his fault, but yeah. But they won, so doesn't matter, I guess.
Running back for the Miami Dolphins, Raheem Mostert didn't practice today. He'll be questionable.
Okay.
And there was an offensive lineman for the Cleveland Browns. I'm not sure his name, but he's out for the year also.
I was just going to say I did see that he's
an all-pro guy. So.
Yeah, that stinks right away. So
and Mike Williams, he's questionable with the Chargers. He cost me a lot of money last week. I did a 4-player parlay, and 3 of the guys scored. He gets hit, and he goes out for a while. So,
jeez,
I funded him. So.
Yeah, I'm done with him. He's gone. Next.
All right.
Well, I got to make my pick on that game. Over under is going to be tough. I took Philly. I wrote my straight up picks already. So against the spread, 6.5 seems high. Philly didn't impress me with their offense last week either. And they're not going to have Gainwell. But I don't know if Minnesota's defense is as good as New England's, because New England has a pretty good defense. It's their offense that's not real good. I also think Philly's defense is probably better than Tampa Bay's. Philly's front four. Now, Philly did lose their linebacker too. Their middle linebacker, I think, for 4 or 5 weeks with a foot injury. Nakobe Dean. He's their middle linebacker, and he's the guy that calls the plays. So, yeah, they lost him. So I'm thinking that could be a little tougher for them. I'm going to go under on the over-under. And as much as I'm rooting for Philly, the offense did not impress me last week, and now they're going to be without Gainwell. So I'm going to take Minnesota to cover as well. So I think the only difference there is you're taking the over, I'm taking the under.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Next game. Baltimore at Cincinnati. I am surprised that Cincinnati is picked for 1, though it is in Cincinnati, and it's 3.5. Now I know Dobbins is out for Baltimore, but they still have Gus Edwards,
Hill, and I think they're going to bring up from the practice squad Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, I'm taking. I don't know if we want to call it my upset pick of the week, but I'm taking Baltimore straight up, which I guess automatically means I'm taking Baltimore to cover.
All right.
I just didn't see anything. I mean, I think Cleveland might have even given everybody a blueprint on how to handle Cincinnati. If you contain Burrow in the pocket, plus I don't think he's as mobile as normal. I think he's still got that lingering leg injury from the preseason a little bit, that strained quad, I think it was, or strained hammy. And you got to be careful with those, because that's what Rodgers had all preseason and tore his Achilles. And a lot of times they say that can lead to that. So I hope it doesn't. I really do. But, he's got to be careful. But I'm taking Baltimore to win, which means I'm taking Baltimore to cover because Cincinnati's picked by 3.5. The over-under is 46.5. I'm going to go just a hunch because 46.5 seems a little high, but I'm going to go with the over. I don't know why, but I'm going with the over on that one.
All right, very good. Yeah, 3.5 points for a division game is it's a lot actually, even though it doesn't sound like a lot.
Yeah.
I think Cincinnati was embarrassed last week, so I know they shouldn't play like that this week against the Ravens. They've actually played well against the Ravens in years past. So we're going to take the Bengals, and I'm gonna give the 3.5, even though I was going to change my mind last minute. I'm going to give the 3.5.
Okay. So you're going to go with Cincinnati
And
across the board?
yeah, and that's going to be over also.
Okay. And you're going with the over. All right. Seattle and Detroit. Seattle to me didn't look very good. They're picking Seattle to go to Detroit by 5.5 with the over under at 47.5.
Yeah, actually, the Seahawks are getting 5.5.
They're getting, yeah. Oh, the Seahawks are
Plus
getting
5.5.
5.5. I read it wrong,
Yeah,
and I apologize.
yeah, Seahawks are getting 5.5.
Okay, let me fix that then. Let me put it right here. I don't know where I read it. I was going to say that's what surprised me. I looked at it twice, but I must have read it
And
wrong.
Detroit coming off that big win against your team, Kansas City, last Thursday.
Yeah,
So they got the extra rest. They look really good,
and they're at
and
home.
they got a lot of weapons. They're at home, so we're gonna ride the wave and take the Lions. And I'm gonna give the 5.5 too.
I did that as well. Uh, but I'll take Detroit to win, but I'll have some fun here with you, Bill, and I'll take Seattle to cover. 47.5. Whew, that seems a little high.
I'm gonna take the over.
You're gonna take the over?
I'm gonna take the over.
Something tells me the same thing though. If it's
I see the offenses this year and most of the game, or this week and most of the games that I think they're all going to come back
know each other a
a little
little
more
better.
positive than last week. Yeah.
Okay. And that makes sense. Here next, Bill, our game of the day. Are you ready?
We're ready.
Indianapolis, and Houston.
Woohoo!
And Indy is picked by, hang on to your hat, sports fans, 1 point. And it's a 39.5 point over under. Is Richardson cleared to play? Do you know?
Yeah, they said he's fine.
He's
They
fine.
said he's fine. He didn't look too shabby last week. He had,
No, for a first game, I thought he looked a little better than everybody thought.
yeah.
His accuracy, I thought, was better, and that's supposed to be the knock on him.
Yeah, that's the knock on him, and he did fairly well.
I think he
I
did
think it
fairly
was
well.
like 60. I think it was like 58, 60%. I think.
Yeah.
But we're gonna go with the Colts.
Woo!
Give the 1 and 39.5. Yeah.
With teams, you're right. But you know what? That still seems low. I'm gonna go with the over.
Yeah. You're talking only 5.5 touchdowns. So
Right.
I mean,
Total. And let's face it, the team that falls behind is going to have to start chucking it. So,
yeah, let's go with the over also.
okay.
All right, and you taking the Colts to win?
I took the Colts across the board.
Okay.
I like Indy's rookie quarterback better than Houston's rookie quarterback.
Okay.
So, all right. Chicago against Tampa Bay. How about that Baker Mayfield? In Tampa, and Tampa's given up 2.5. The point spread is 40.5. kind of low, but after seeing Chicago last week, I could see why. I mean, Tampa did
Yeah,
world on fire, but Chicago, wow.
yeah. I don't. Couple of teams you're like, wow, what are they? I mean,
Yeah,
they almost look like high school teams. Not no knocking high schoolers, but these
everybody
guys
was
are
rah
pros,
rah
and they
rah
just
on the Bears, and I drank the Kool-Aid. We both drank the Kool-Aid last
yeah,
week.
we both drank the
Bears,
Kool-Aid.
Bears, and they the old Chevy Chase line from Caddyshack. They weren't good. You know?
No, I think I've read a stat or heard that Fields only averaged like a 3 yard pass,
Yes, that's exactly right.
and that's horrendous.
Awful,
The
awful.
play calling is terrible. I don't care if a guy's not open or
That's
not.
not just
You got
him.
to throw
That's
the
the play
ball
call.
deep. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a play calling. Yeah,
But here's the other part
ridiculous.
of it. Once in a while, audible out of it, unless he's been told not to. At some point, you go through the first quarter and you see that they're not calling anything but, dink a dunk. Call audible once in a while and throw it deep. At least loosen up room for your guys. I mean,
Yeah.
let's face it, all Green Bay had to do was just come in and cover them. They almost could have put 8 in the box every play. It was terrible. It was terrible play calling. You're right.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
With that being said,
That's
Tampa Bay's defense isn't as good as Green Bay's defense, and the only, I mean, Tampa Bay did get 3 turnovers last week on Minnesota, but I'm gonna reluctantly take Chicago with the 2.5
reluctantly
for them to rebound
rebound a little bit.
and
You think they're going to cover?
get the win. Yeah, well, they're getting 2.5, so I'm taking the upset. It's
You're
actually the
taking the
upset.
upset. Yeah, it's true.
And 40.5 is another one. It's like,
Yeah, I know, but bleh.
ugh. I'm gonna take the under in this one. I don't know
Okay.
why, but I'm taking the under.
That's all right. I took the over, and I don't know why. I mean, it's like, oh, I mean,
I think it might be like a 20-17 game. So
yeah, yep. I mean, we're talking about how bad Indy and Houston could be, but they might be some points up there in that one, at least.
yeah.
Kansas City and Jackson.
Who'd
I'm sorry.
you take to win? Who'd you take to win?
Oh, I took Tampa Bay across the board.
You took Tampa. Oh, you took Tampa across the board.
Yep. And you took Chicago across the board. So that'll be good. That'll be good. That could be interesting for us. That's 2 of them. Yeah, that's 2. Kansas City and at Jacksonville. It's 3.5 point spread. Kansas City's given up. I hate 3.5. You know what I mean? Like that field goal, you lose by half a point. I freaking hate that. Over under is 51. Even though Kansas City struggled last week on offense, they're still saying they're going to do something. And they're probably with 3.5, they're thinking Jacksonville will too.
Yeah, I mean Jacksonville's got just as many weapons as Kansas City does.
Yeah.
Lawrence ain't close to Mahomes, but
I think the Chiefs might have better running backs, but Jacksonville's got better receivers.
Yes.
But Kansas City might have they do have the better tight end.
Right. That's what it comes down to if
I think it plays. Yeah, the rest of it's going down to who has the better defense. The Chiefs do get Chris Jones back this week. He signed a 1-year deal. Same salary, but they added some incentives for him. So for the 1 year, he'll be okay. He'll be happy. He was at the game. They showed him up in the box at the game. So it wasn't like he stayed home and, flipped off the Chiefs or anything. And he had said before he wants to retire as a Kansas City Chief. So that's what it is he just wants a long-term contract, I think, with some stability. And I bet they work towards that.
Yeah.
If not, the Chiefs wouldn't have offered him a contract for the year, So
yeah.
And you could see the difference last week. They played pretty well, but you could see the difference last week without him at one end, and they let him move around.
Right.
If he was there, you might have had a little bit of a difference, and they still only lost by a point. And you had Kelsey out too. Kelsey's scheduled to play this week. Chris Jones is back in the lineup. I'm obviously going with Kansas City to win. 3.5 seems kind of tough, but I think the Chiefs, after losing, are going to want to go out and make a statement, especially since Jacksonville is considered a good team. I think they're going to want to go out, and I think they're going to want to say that we're still the Super Bowl champions. And they lost their first game last year, remember? Everybody like, oh man, what's wrong with the Chiefs? I don't know. They lost to the Colts last year, and guess what? Guess who was in the Super Bowl and who wasn't, folks? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I don't mean the Colts. I mean the other 30 teams, 31 teams.
Right. Yeah.
So guess what? They lost the game. Oh no.
Yeah, I can't see Kansas City going 0-2, which that's why I've been going back and forth because, like I said, Jacksonville's no slouch.
Yeah.
But I will take Kansas City to win, but I'm going to take the 3.5 just in case. It's a close
I'll tell you,
game,
I was close to that, and it wouldn't surprise me. You're right if they cover. It wouldn't surprise me if Butker has to kick a field goal to win a 34-31 game, and I lose the spread by that stupid half a point. But we'll see. I am taking the over on 51.
You're taking the what, under?
The over. I'm taking the over.
Over. Yes. Yeah, so am I. Yeah. So it's the over, folks.
Okay. Green Bay at Atlanta, and Green Bay is giving up 1 point.
No, it's down the
under is 40.5.
Yeah, this actually should be a pretty good game.
Yes.
Atlanta, they just ran the ball. Man, they can't stop them. I mean, I think that they were the number one rushing team last year. It's just, you're going to run the ball, but they can't stop them.
Yeah, but when you're that good at it, you know.
Yeah, they're just going to keep going.
Yeah.
The rookie Bijan Robinson, he scored on his
Bijan Robinson
debut.
Good, yeah.
Yep. And
one play to the outside, to the right side when he scored. He went right in between two guys. They were saying it's a Dijon sandwich.
Yeah.
I mean, he made a move and just walked in.
But I'm going to go with Atlanta until somebody can stop the running game. I'm going to take Atlanta and take the 1 and 40.5. We're going to go. I'm going to say under with this one too.
Okay.
Only because they're going to run the ball. I think Green Bay is going to try to run the ball. I think it's going to be low scoring.
We're going to have our third different game here, buddy. I'm going to take Green Bay. I think Jordan Love is out there trying to prove something. Though I will say, you wouldn't surprise me if you're right, because Atlanta, to win games, is going to have to play defense and run the football. That's how they're going to have to win. But I am going to take, I think Green Bay showed last week that they can play some offense. Of course, it was against the Bears, but I thought the Bears' defense wasn't bad, but they just ran all over them. I don't know if Christian Watson's back this week or not.
It's still questionable, I believe.
But I think they showed that they have enough weapons without him. It is in Atlanta, and of course that dome gets loud.
Yeah, the Dirty Birds.
The Dirty Birds. But I think Green Bay is going to come out of that one. A close game again. I'm going to go over only because 40.5 isn't very much.
No, it's not much.
Yeah, it could end up 24-20, something like that. Not an explosive offensive output, but it'd be enough to cover the spread. So I'm going to go with the over there. You went with the under, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Vegas and Buffalo. 8.5 is the spread for the Bills in Buffalo. The over-under is 46.5. It's like we said,
Yeah,
it's
the Raiders.
Buffalo.
Yeah, the Raiders won last week, so they're 1-0.
Yeah.
Buffalo's 0-1. Buffalo is at home. I don't see them losing 2 games in a row. So I believe Buffalo will win handily because I'll be given the 8.5
So
and take the over.
you're going to take Buffalo across the board and take the
I
over.
think this could be like a 41-10 game or
Oh, okay.
41, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, you're being nicer than I am. I took the over because I think Josh Allen wants to go out and prove that he's no scrub, because that's the talk all week long. Too many turnovers, blah, blah, blah. Raiders aren't quite good enough to make him turn the ball over. Like, the Jets defense is really good. Raiders defense isn't bad, but I will say, no matter what the Jets do the rest of the season, it's going to be hard to have a better defense than they have. It's their offense that's going to, either cost them or not help them win games. I mean, and the one kid, 3 interceptions, never had more than 2 in a career before, 3 in one game. And it took a punt return. I don't, to me, Vegas beating Denver by a point only proved to me that Denver's not very good either. I have never been impressed with Josh McDaniels as a quarterback, or as a head coach as a head coach, even when he was in Denver. I mean, he got lucky that Tim Tebow pulled one play with the late great Demaryius Thomas out of his keister, to use a polite term. And it was only because Tebow is a little mobile and they were looking for that slant, and that Thomas had great hands and great speed. And they won in overtime. Other than that, McDaniels would have never won a playoff game. And it was sudden death. One play, boom, you win. I'm not impressed by him. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he needs another year or half a season or whatever, but Jimmy G will give him some stability for a couple of years, I think, but I think Buffalo is going to have their way with them. They're going to go in like Attila the Hun pillaging a village. I think it's just going to be, or the guys in Braveheart just going in and running ram shot all over Scotland. They're even going to be wearing the blue. You can't take away our Buffalo's freedom. That kind of thing. No one circles the friggin' wagons like the Buffalo. We had to lose the first game so we can circle the friggin' wagons. That kind of thing. I'm the same as you. I'm going Buffalo. I think they're going to beat the spread, and I think they're going to hammer Vegas. In Buffalo, it's going to be too much. So, Chargers and the Titans in Tennessee. Chargers picked by 3. The over-under is 45.5. The Chargers offense, I mean, yes, they lost. They lost to Miami, who outscored them. It was an old AFC type game, if you think about it. The old AFC when we were kids. What was it, in the 40s, both teams, or high 30s? It was.
Yeah, I think it was 36-34, something like that. So they scored 7
for Miami. Yeah. Tua had over 400 yards passing against. That's the bad part for the Chargers. Doesn't look like their defense is great. But that being said, as we like to say here on From the Cheap Seats, the Miami's got a great offense. I mean, Tyreek Hill is a beast. And then if you let up on Tyreek Hill, which they tried to single cover him all week, you got Jason Waddle. So if you double cover Tyreek, Waddle will eat you up. So, and Tua's going to find him. He's going to find whoever's open. So I think Miami's got, but the Chargers, they're no slouch. I mean, they obviously have a great offense to have hung in there with Miami all long. Eckler's still a great running back. and still a great all-purpose guy. Now you said Williams is hurt, right?
Yeah, Mike Williams. I think he's going to play. It's
Think
just
he's going to
the
play?
niner. I don't.
Um,
But
I
Eckler's banged up.
but
Eckler's banged
banged
up.
up, right?
Yeah,
Who else
yeah,
runs
he's
the ball
banged up.
besides Eckler though? They've got some.
Joshua Kelly. Josh Kelly. Yeah.
Yeah,
He,
I
he had like I think he had 16 carries, 91 yards last week.
yeah.
Joshua
I
Kelly.
mean, he's going to be fine.
He's no slouch
And the
either.
Chargers
Yeah.
are going to try and run the football quite a bit more, but they're also going to use their backs out of the backfield as far as screens and receptions, and that worked last week too. I like the Chargers here. I like them by way more than 3. Tennessee doesn't really have an offense to me outside of Derrick Henry. They do have DeAndre Hopkins, but if you don't give Tannehill enough time to throw the ball, he could have Bullet Bob Hayes in his prime. He could have whoever, the best receiver in the world. If you don't have enough time to throw the ball, the receiver is going to be useless. So I think Chargers 45.5. That's the tough nut because I don't know if Tennessee is going to score much. I mean, if it's 35-10, you still lose the bet.
Yeah.
So in that case, I'm going to go under because I think Tennessee has a good enough defense to slow up the Chargers. I just don't think they have the offense to keep up.
Yeah, there's no doubt that they don't have the offense to keep up, but I still think San Diego wasn't impressive defensively
Neither was
last
Los
week.
Angeles.
Yeah.
You did the
I
same.
said San Diego.
Yeah.
Chargers.
It's
I
all right,
can't.
buddy. I still do it. Mentally, I still do it. I always have to take a second to go, Los Angeles. So I'm with you.
But I'm going to take the over.
You're going to take the over. You're going to take the Charger.
Yeah, I think I'll take the Charger. I think it's going to be like 31-17, 34-17.
Yeah, it sounds about right, probably. Oh, well, 31-7. Yeah, that gets you there. Okay, that makes sense. All right, here's one I thought was a little high, but only based off week 1. I could see the rationalization on the betting. San Francisco is giving the Rams 7.5 points, and the over-under is 45. Rams offense looked pretty good last week, even without Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, that's good. They had the rookie from BYU at Puka Nakua.
Puka Nakua, who is different than
Tumba,
and is but if he
catches he had 10
ball,
catches.
He can
I
turn
believe
around.
He had 10 catches. Yeah.
He can
10
turn
catches
around.
for 100 yards. Yeah.
Yeah. Turn around, look at the cornerback, just like I'm sure a distant cousin, Dikembe Mutombo.
Yeah. No.
No. You can't stop that catch, man. So yeah.
Not in my house.
I'm not in my house. Not in my house. I'm making Mutombo sound Jamaican, of course. But
the Niners were just so impressive last week against Steelers, and they're just firing all cylinders. McCaffrey had 100 yards.
And
Brandon Ayuk had 2 touchdowns and 100 yards.
Yep.
So I'm going to go with the Niners and go with the over and give the 7.5.
Ooh, you are the man. I wish I could disagree with any of that, but I did not. My pick was already same thing, over San Francisco. The only hesitation I have is the spread. If the Rams offense, but I think San Francisco's defense is just too good.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. I think it's going to be the Niners, and could be the Niners big. And it's the two LA teams, whether it's the Chargers or the Rams, that's almost not a home field advantage for them at all. Opposing teams, fans go in there a lot. So I don't even think you can give them the home field advantage much there. So Yeah, I went with the Niners across the board too. Purdy looks really good. McCaffrey is running his tail off again. So I mean, I just think it's too much for the Rams to handle too early. I mean, I like these young guys. I think it's great, and I think they have a future. Even Matthew Stafford was like, these young guys are looking pretty good. They can call me sir whenever they want. He was like, my wife's making too big a deal out of this, but if I had his wife, I'd let her make the big deal out of everything. Yeah. But I give her credit too. She came back from a lot of stuff too. I think she had breast cancer. She beat that. He's had all these injuries and stuff forever, and he's still out there playing. I remember him throwing a touchdown pass for Detroit about 3 years ago, maybe 4, that with a separated shoulder. He hurt himself. Yeah. They called a timeout. The other team called the timeout. That was the worst part. So he was able to go back in, and they were getting ready to send the backup in, and he's like, no, I'm going in. Left arm dangling, basically. Yeah. Could have just taped it up into his body because he was like out there like this. Could have looked like half a mummy. But no, he went out there and he threw a touchdown pass. Then guys went over to kind of celebrate, and they're like, "Whoa, don't touch me." But he's a gamer, but I think the Niners are just too much, like you said. Meanwhile, this update, Atlanta's leading the Phillies 2-1 in the top of the second. But that's your sports update for the moment here. We're not going to tell you what day we're filming this, so you can go back and do the research, folks. Giants at Arizona. Giants are giving up 5.5. The point spread, or not the point spread, over under is 40 even.
And it's 5.5 the spread.
It's 5.5 for the Giants.
Yeah. Arizona last week hung with the Washington Commanders.
Yes.
They're in the desert. The Giants were absolutely embarrassed losing to Dallas 40-0.
Oh my!
That's just horrendous. I have no idea how that is, because the Giants coach is usually pretty good coming up with a game plan, but there was no. I think the game plan was stay in bed. I think because that was just horrendous.
It got wet in the rain on the way over, so the paper was all messed up. I don't know what. But I will say you could have had a great game plan. Dallas's defense was on a mission. They just were not to be stopped, at least against the Giants. There is all kinds of talk. Even Micah Parsons from Dallas came out and said, why would you leave your quarterback out there that long when you are in that kind of trouble? You could lose him for the rest of the season or longer by continuing to put him out there in a game that you have no shot of winning. And if he was a rookie, I'd say, okay, you were trying to get him some experience. But he's in his 4th or 5th year now. I don't see the reasoning. I agree with a lot of people who are saying, I was surprised I flicked it back on, because after a while I was like, oh, this is just not going to happen. It's not going to be a good game at all. Swing and a miss, he struck him out. The Phillies will go to the bottom of the second, trailing by a run. So Giants, you're right, did not look good at all. Arizona hung with the Commanders. That's kind of the good news for Arizona, because it meant that maybe they're not, the players are not tanking.
Right.
But they're not going to do that. And the quarterback Dobbs kept him in it, best he could.
Yeah.
And considering he only had the game plan for a week, maybe 2, as far as the Cards offense, what it was going to be, and he's still learning it. Obviously, he's holding the fort for Kyler Murray, and you would think that if Kyler Murray was playing, they would have won that game.
Yeah.
So, they'll hang around, but I think the Giants, especially it's 5.5. I think I'm going to go with the Giants across the board. The 40 kind of scares me because it could be like 21-7 or even 21-10. I don't see the Giants doing what Dallas did to them. So I'm going to go with the under on this one, but I am taking the Giants across the board.
Yeah, I think the Giants have to rebound from that embarrassing performance. So I'll take the Giants minus the 5.5.
Okay.
I'm like you. I'm not sure about the over under. I think it could be. It could be like 28-10 or something like that. But
so you're going to go with the under as well?
I'm going to go over because I think they're embarrassed. I think they got to come out and put a whooping.
I think they're going to try and come out and put a little whooping on somebody.
Yeah, I think they could score 30 points. I think they could get 30 points.
Try to prove themselves they can score on somebody, even if it is, Hamilton High, Mulligan Township, Elwood Community College, But I do agree with the people that say, why was Daniel Jones in there so long? I don't get it. I don't get it unless you don't like him, and if he gets hurt, you're bringing somebody in, or you think if he gets hurt, you got your excuse. But I don't see it. Or you're punishing him. Maybe he wasn't playing well, and you're trying to punish him. But I don't see the reason for that either. Castellanos pops out the short. One away here in a second. Jets at Dallas. Dallas is picked by 9.5. The over under is only 38.5. I think the reasoning for that is Dallas will win big, but the Jets won't score, and the Jets' defense is pretty good, so it could be 31-10, and you'd still be under. Oh no, you wouldn't. You'd be over. What am I thinking? Yeah, could be 28-10.
And yeah, these are probably the top two defensive teams in the league.
Yeah,
but Dallas is well rounded. We'll see what Zach Wilson brings for the Jets. I think Dallas will win the game at home, but 9.5 is a lot of points to give it a good defense.
I don't know if we're going to cover that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take the 9.5.
I did too.
And I'm gonna go over.
Okay. Yeah, so you're going to take the Jets to cover, Dallas to win, and you're going to go over. I went under, so that'll be interesting. For the same reasoning we were both saying, I think the Jets' defense is pretty good as well. Dallas's defense is good. So yeah, I'm gonna go, but I'm gonna go under. Okay. 38.5, even though it is a low over under number. Washington against Denver. Denver's picked by 3.5. The over under is 39. This one to me might be the toughest game of the week to pick.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a coin flipper.
Yeah, I don't think it should be 3.5. I think it should be back to like Green Bay, Atlanta, like 1, or Indy, Houston. It should be 1 point. That ball is foul. It's 0-2, 2 down here.
Yeah, I mean Denver gets the 3 points at home.
Yeah.
So that makes it.
That makes it to half a point, really.
Yeah, it makes it like half a point. Denver wasn't very impressive last week.
No. They lost to the Raiders.
They lost to the Raiders.
17-16. So your question here would be, do you think that Washington's offense is better than the Raiders' offense?
I would probably,
overall better than the
I
Raiders.
would almost say, they're
Equal.
pretty
I
equal.
would say
Like,
they're
maybe slightly better Raiders, but
well. This is why you were right about this could be a coin flip game
yeah,
because that's
and
all the Raiders Denver was 1 point. That was basically
yeah,
a coin flip game if you think about it.
and Washington kept Arizona in the game.
Yeah.
So I'm probably gonna regret this, but it's a homer pick. So I'm gonna take Washington to win the game as an upset and take the 3.5.
So that's your upset pick of
And
the
I think it's gonna be over also.
over on the 39. I took Denver to win. I think I'm gonna, yeah, I am. I'm gonna take Washington to cover, even though it's 3.5. Even if Denver wins, I think it'll be a field goal and a half makes me a winner still. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. 39. No, that's tough. It really is. Because it's so low, I'll go over. I'll tell you, I feel very uncomfortable about that. Over. But you're right. This is to me, this is a pick 'em game.
Yeah.
One team turns the ball over a lot. I don't see it. I don't know. Sean Payton's been known to have good defenses. Maybe they're going to cause Sam Howell some problems. All depends. I don't know. I like for now Denver to win the game, but Washington to cover.
Okay.
Miami, New England, Sunday night football. Miami is picked by 3. The over-under is 47. I will tell you now, I think someone is on crack because Miami, I think, is going to beat New England by more than 3. Yes, Belichick always known to have a good defense and they play tough, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he's a genius, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, tough crap. Miami, it's got too many weapons. To me, that's like running into a house that's on fire and you ain't wearing no equipment. You're in trouble. They've got no offense that can keep Miami off the field. They really don't. I mean, look at Philly didn't play
You
well
can't.
at all, and they still lost to Philly. They don't.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, they're not the Chargers who could keep up, and match them point for point.
No, nope.
And so yeah, I will take the Dolphins, give the 3 easily, and 47 is a tough number
I
because
was going to say that's the number I'm putting.
Yeah, I
I mean,
mean,
if
it could
it's
be
31-10, you still lose.
it could be 31-14. So I'm gonna go under. I'm gonna go under.
That's what I did as well. I already did go under because I just don't see New England being able to put too many points on the board. The only way it could happen is if it's a 45-20 game. They're not really in it, but somehow they put 20 points up, that kind of thing. You know what? I'm going to go over just for fun.
Okay.
Because they could fall behind so early, they might have to chuck the ball a lot. And that could run a score up. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be close, but I'll go over just for fun. New Orleans, Carolina there's 2 Monday night games this week. The first one starts at 7:15 Eastern, 6:15 Central. New Orleans at Carolina. New Orleans is giving 3 points, and the over-under is 40. Fly ball right field, base hit, nice stop by Castellanos though on one hop.
The Saints looked pretty good last week against Tennessee.
Yes.
Carolina, not so much.
No. Rookie quarterback again for Carolina.
Yeah.
He did not look good.
No.
No, I saw listen to a lot of stuff.
I think Carolina's going to struggle all year. So I think this is the easy one. I get the Saints minus the 3, and we will go. See, I don't see Carolina scoring many points. We will go with the. Ugh,
I went with the under.
you went with the under.
I went
All
under.
right, so for fun, I'll go with the over.
Okay. So we both went New Orleans across the board. You went over, I went under. Okay. And last but not least, the last Monday night game starts at 8:15 Eastern, 7:15 Central. So one game Atlanta just scored. It's 3-1. Was it a sack fly? Yeah, sack fly. Albies is still at first. Cleveland against Pittsburgh. Cleveland is picked by only 2. Over under is 39.
Cleveland looked really, really good against Cincinnati. They held Joe Burrow to under 100, under 100 yards passing, and they just looked really, really good.
Yep, defense.
Pittsburgh, on the other hand, they got smacked around by 49ers. So I mean, it's in Pittsburgh.
That's hard to get a gauge. 49ers are going to smack.
Yeah, that's hard to get. Yeah, that's exactly. Pittsburgh is at home, but Cleveland, they were one of my playoff teams, so they're looking good, and I'm going to take the Brownies.
And I think
Deontay
Johnson's out for Pittsburgh for a few weeks too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Deontay Johnson's out. I think 2 to 4 weeks. I think they said.
Yeah, so that means all they've got is the rookie Pickens and the tight end Freiermuth, and
that's Freiermuth might even be hurt, banged up. So.
Oh, that's right. He was banged up in that game, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So you're in Martian left. That's it.
And we're going to take the over. I think the Brownies put up at least 30 points here.
Ooh, listen to you. Over on the Browns. Because it's a division game, well, it is only 39 points, though. It is a low over under. Yeah, I'm struggling here to talk. It's a tough one, I think, but because if it's 28-7, you're still under. I don't see Pittsburgh scoring a lot of points against Cleveland's defense. That's my problem. You know what? My gut said go with under, so I'm going to go with under. All right, that is it for this week's picks. Let's look at our differences here. We both took Philadelphia to win, but Minnesota covered Thursday night. And we both took you took the over 49. I took under. Baltimore in Cincinnati, we both took the over. You took Cincinnati all across the board. I took Baltimore across the board and making that my upset pick. 3.5 is the point spread. I took Baltimore to beat that. Seattle versus Detroit. Detroit giving up 5.5, 47.5 on the over. You took Detroit across the board. I took Detroit to win the game. Seattle, I think, might cover the 5.5. We both took the over. Indy, Houston, 1 point. It's basically a coin flip game. We both took Indy across the board, and we both took the over at 39.5. Chicago, Tampa Bay. You took the under. I took the over. The over under is 40.5. Tampa Bay is picked by 2.5. You took the Bears, who are favored. I'm sorry. You took
the upset.
Yeah, you took the upset. I didn't. Let me put down Bill upset. I took Tampa Bay. You took the Bears. I took Tampa Bay across the board. You took Chicago to cover, and because you took them to win. Kansas City, Jacksonville. This is a tougher one. Of course, I root for Kansas City. That's part of why. 51 is the over-under. KC's picked to win by 3.5. You took Kansas City win the game, Jacksonville to cover, and the over. I took Kansas City across the board, and for them to be over. I wouldn't be surprised if Jacksonville covers. I wouldn't. But I'm going to stick with the Chiefs on only because it's 3.5, and it could end up being 34-31, and I'd lose my 3.5. Green Bay at Atlanta. It's a 1-point underdog for the Falcons. Over under is 40.5. Bill, you took the under, and Atlanta across the board. I took the over in Green Bay across the board. I'm not counting. Well, we can if you don't have a better upset, but 1 point seems hard to make it an upset pick of the week. But if you don't have another one, then we'll put that one. Oh, you already did take one, Chicago over Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I got two.
You got two, really. And let me put that. I'll write it down, even though that would be a cheap one, Bill. But it is what it is. Vegas and Buffalo, 8.5-point spread for Buffalo. It's in Buffalo. We both took Buffalo across the board and over the 46.5-point spread on the over-under. Or not spread, but point total on the over-under. Chargers, Tennessee. In Tennessee, 45.5 is the over-under. 3-point differential, picking the Chargers. We both took the Chargers across the board, but you took over the over-under 45.5. I took the under. San Francisco and the Rams, 7.5-point spread. I think that is looking at it. It's the second biggest spread of the week, but it is San Francisco who's really good. We both took the over 45 points. We both took San Francisco across the board to cover the spread as well. Even though I had some hesitation, I thought the Rams might cover, but no, I'm going to stick with this. Giants at Arizona. Giants are picked by 5.5. 40 is the over-under. You took the over 40. I took the under, but we both took the Giants across the board. Let me see. Dallas and the Jets. We both took Dallas to win the game. The Jets to stay within the 9.5-point spread. You took the over 38.5 for the over-under. I took the under. Denver hosts Washington this week. 3.5-point spread for Denver. We both took the over. You took Washington. That's your upset, really. 3.5. I'll put the Bill upset. I took Denver to win the game, but Washington to cover. We both took the over, like I said, over 39. Sunday night, Miami, New England. New England is taking the 3 points from Miami, who's favored. Over under 47. You took the under. I took the over. We both took Miami across the board. New Orleans, Carolina, the first Monday night game. It is a 3-point spread for New Orleans. They're giving the 3 points. It's a 40 over under. You took the over 40. I took the under. We both took New Orleans across the board. And Cleveland, Pittsburgh, the last game of the week in Pittsburgh. Cleveland's given up 2 to the Steelers. The over under is 39. You took the over. I took the under. We both took Cleveland across the board. So we do have some differences this week on over unders. Philadelphia, Minnesota were the same. Cincinnati, Baltimore. I took Baltimore in what's being called an upset, even though it's me personally, I just don't see it the way Cincinnati played, but I could be wrong there. I took Seattle to cover against Detroit. I'm sorry, you did not. But I did pick them to win with you. Let's see. I took Tampa Bay. You took the Bears to win and cover, and that's your upset pick of the week. My upset pick of the week was the Baltimore game against Cincinnati. You took Jacksonville to cover, but Kansas City to win. I took Kansas City across the board against Jacksonville. We both took the over. I'm looking for differences. Atlanta, Green Bay, that's the toss-up game. You took Atlanta. It's in Atlanta. I took Green Bay. Also, I took the over 40.5. You took the under. Buffalo, Vegas game's the same. Chargers, Tennessee. We both took the Chargers. You took the over 45.5, though. I took the under. San Francisco to Rams, no change. We were identical on that. Giants, Arizona. I took under 40 points. You took over, but we both took the Giants across the board. Dallas. We both said Dallas would win, Jets would cover. You did take over 38.5. I took under. Denver, Washington, 39 over. We both took that. You took Washington across the board. I took Denver to win the game, basically because it's home. Washington to cover. Miami, New England. You took the under 47. I took over. We both took Miami across the board. We both took New Orleans across the board against Carolina, which was a 3-point spread. But you took over 40 points. I took under. And last but not least, Cleveland picked by 2. You took the over. I took the under 39 points. We both took Cleveland across the board. So we have a few differences this week again, which is weird. We had a few last week and we still almost had the same record.
Almost had the same record.
Different ways. I mean, me winning the Jets game was just a miracle. So, but there you have it. Yep, it does. It does. There you have it.
You lose, and I win, and we're both 8-8.
And we're both 8-8. Yeah. So, but that's your straight up picks. That's not your odds. Odds, we are both at 7 and 9.
Both at 7 and 9.
Yeah.
The over under 7.
Yep. Which for the first week, for me, that's not bad for the first week. Usually the first week I have like 4 or 5 wins. I usually really suck the first week. I'm almost encouraged by the 7 and 9. I'm like, oh, I'm ahead of the game. Normally you end up with a 4 or 5 game lead after week 1. So
yeah.
So I'm encouraged. I'm hanging tough. I might pull away. No, I think the season's going to be a little strange. A couple new rules. I didn't see the there's a double off the wall. Atlanta's going to win 3 of 4 here. They're already up. Oh, was he safe? Yes, barely. Ozuna with a double to right. It's 3-1 Atlanta. We're in the top of the 4th, and that's a leadoff double. So it's not looking pretty for your boys in the red pinstripes tonight. So there you have it. Of course, other sports stories. Coco Gauff wins is the first American to win a female singles title in a long time at the US Open. Djokovic won again. No big surprise there. USA basketball lost even the semifinals to Canada. They're not the semifinals. I apologize. They lost the bronze game for 3rd place. Lost that to Canada. They're going to have to make some changes. And part of it looks like they don't have any big men that will play inside. And of course, Jokic isn't a USA citizen. They say Embiid can play. He's got dual citizenship in Cameroon and the US. So there's a chance, but you got to remember, if you have Embiid, it's going to depend on whether Steve Kerr can get him to play inside more.
Right.
But I think that's what Nick Nurse is going to try to do with him in Philadelphia anyway, is have him play inside more. So it'll be, of course, it's also interesting as to whether Harden plays or not. So who knows?
He's better off just letting him go.
I would just let him go. Let him go. Don't pay him. Do what you did with Simmons. If somebody comes up and gives me some kind of an offer, okay, I'll dump his salary on you. Other than that, forget it. I mean, the Clippers supposedly want him. The players on the Clippers want him, but Clippers management's like, not for that kind of money. We're not going to pull the trigger on that. He is signed for the 1 year, and that's because he wants his money. But if he doesn't show up, he don't get paid.
But he's a headache. Yeah, he's a headache.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he is. And you know what? He wasn't worth.
He's past his prime, so I mean,
you could see in the playoffs he wasn't worth it. He had 2 good games, was tired after both of them, and didn't play well at all. They needed him to come up big in game 6, I think, and he was basically a no-show. So no, bye, sayonara, arrivederci.
Go play. Thanks for stopping by.
Get out. What was it? My old sports thing? Just get out. Go. I mean, keep Maxey. Let Maxey play that role. You don't need to go out and make a blockbuster. You don't need to replace him with a high-priced player, I don't think. Somebody not marginal, somebody on the upper scale, but you don't need to go out and get, Dame Lillard or Devin Booker or somebody like that,
Right.
Here's the difference between guys. Dame Lillard, though once out of Portland, has publicly kind of said it. His agent was a guy who said, oh, he's not going to play back in Portland. Guess what? He's already said he's going to report to camp. He's going to play.
Yeah.
No matter where he signed, he's going to play. Why? He's a class act. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He's a pro. He's not trying to get out of his third team in 4 years like Harden,
Yeah.
I mean, why was he okay with Daryl Morey when he was in Houston, but not now? Yeah, it rings of bullshit to me. So go away. Just go. And I can't wait for him to go somewhere and then come back to Philly. Oh, he's going to make the Ben Simmons boos are going to look like Cheers compared to that. It's going to be like, yeah, okay. Which one would you rather have? I would take Ben Simmons back in a heartbeat before I would take Harden. Because Simmons, they showed, had some psychological issues and all that stuff. And you know what? The other day, somebody said, would you go back to Philadelphia? He goes, yeah. Simmons said, yeah. I was in shock when I heard that. I was like, okay, well, kind of proves maybe he's matured a little bit. Fly ball right.
Yeah, but he still
drops for hit inside.
That's the problem.
4-1. Yeah, he sucks. Well, it's
sucks.
Yeah, he sucks. I mean, he can rebound a little bit. He can handle the ball. He can pass.
Yeah, he just needs to go back to it.
He can't shoot a lick.
Yeah, go back home and play and be a superstar
Go back
over there.
to Australia and go play. Yeah, they like you there. Congratulations. Go play for their Olympic team. Go play in their pro league. Go play in Europe. Go make your money, but not in the NBA. He's probably going to play out a contract or something unless they buy him out. So, but he's getting so much money, you can't afford to just buy him out. You got to probably keep him on the roster.
Yeah.
Right. Oh well, so there you have it. Wild card shaping up in baseball to be kind of fun looking in the NL East, or in the NL, I should say. Cubs are only a game and a half away from the Phillies, who are losing 4-1 now with a runner at second for Atlanta. It don't look good. But then again, the Phillies have been coming back to make it close. Like last night in 10 innings, one of the doubleheader games, extra innings. But close is not close in a win. It's close but no cigar. Better be careful. Could lose that top wild card spot, which means you'll lose home field. That's not good. So I don't think they're as good as last year's team, and I think other teams have gotten better. I think Atlanta's better. I don't know about the Dodgers this year. They've got some better. But a couple of the other teams have stepped up. The Cubs, the Reds, the Diamondbacks. So you have some competition there in the NL. And I mean, the Phillies got in there last year by skin of their teeth. They were the last team in. But I don't see them going far, even if they win the wild card.
Yeah, you don't want to be in that playing game. You don't.
No, you don't want to. No. And I just don't. After Wheeler, I don't know about the pitching. Lorenzen's been up and down. I mean, he had the no-hitter, but he hasn't pitched well since. Nola's coming around a little bit, but after the first or second time in the order, I think you got to start looking to get him out in the fourth or fifth inning. That third time in the order is crushing him. Fourth or fifth inning, watch him, and it's not there. Your team's still playing pretty good.
Yeah, they got like a 4-game lead over Tampa.
Is it Tampa?
And like 2 games in hand. So
so they're in pretty good shape. The AL West is getting close again. Houston's only up by a game, I think, over Texas. Max Scherzer, of course, I don't know if you saw it. He got the win last night, pitched 5 1/3, but had to come out, and he's done for the season. He's got his right. They think it's his. It's not the Tommy John deal. I think it's above that. It's up in here. But he went to throw a pitch and it was done. He was done. They came
And he's
out.
probably done.
Well, they said he's done for the season. He's 30.
Yeah, but career wise, he's
Yeah,
30.
he's got to be done. Yeah, he's 39. He's going to be done. So yeah, the Rangers might be limited. Even they'll make the playoffs, but I think they're limited because they don't have the starting pitching. Houston, like I said, it's hanging on. They lost last night. Verlander didn't look good. They got beat last night. Seattle's kind of up and down, but they won last night and they're going to hang around. So I think you're going to see your team, Baltimore. Is it Cleveland or Minnesota leading the Central? Do you know offhand?
I'm not sure off the top
It
of my
may be
head.
Cleveland, or I mean, it might be Minnesota. I'm not sure. And then it's either, well, if there's 7 teams total, your team will win the division, whoever wins the Central, and then whoever wins the West. And then I think I'm going to count your team as winning the East and say that Toronto's going to get in as a wild card. Not Toronto, Tampa Bay. I'm sorry. Tampa Bay.
It's Minnesota. Minnesota's up 7.5 on Cleveland.
Okay, so it's going to be Minnesota. It's going to be your team. Whoever wins the West right now, it's Houston, but I wouldn't bet the house.
It looks like Texas and Seattle, they're going to be battling out for that last spot.
Yeah, and Seattle's going to be in there,
and even Toronto's up there. So
Toronto's in the neighborhood. So, I think it's going to be Baltimore, Tampa, Minnesota. I think Houston and Texas will both hang on, which makes it 5 teams. Then you got to look and see. It might be Seattle and Toronto, like you said. Yeah, that sounds about right. Depending on
the Orioles, first team to 90 wins in the American League.
Yeah,
they're 91 and 53. That's pretty damn good
for your team. It's great. It's great for Baltimore. I think it's great for baseball to get Baltimore back competitive. Really good, because that's a Baltimore always used to be a really good baseball town. I love old time Orioles. You know, when you had and I mean before Ripken. You know,
you had the 420 game winners in the 70s.
Yeah. Cuellar, McNally, Palmer,
and Dobson.
And Dobson. 420 game winners. You'll never see that again. Of course, it's hard to get a 20 game winner now because they don't get to go as long. And it's every 6th day instead of 5th day, or every 5th day instead of 4th. Some teams like the Phillies are going with a 6-man rotation. And they're not the only ones. It's just, you have these openers, instead of a starting pitcher, it's an opener, goes an inning or two. Tampa's famous for that. They're doing that almost. It's ridiculous.
But when you got ERAs over 5 and 6, I mean, that's
second or third pitch in the lineup is killing starters. So there's a blue pit for the Phillies. They're only down 4-1. Yay. Well, it is what it is. But it's going to be interesting, especially in the American League. National League, you got the Braves are running away with it. Milwaukee has no problem. Out west, what is it? The Dodgers and I guess the Diamondbacks are still hanging around. The Giants are falling away, the wild card. San Diego's not even in the hunt. There's the disappointing team of the year, probably, in San Diego.
They spent all that money.
East, Machado, Musgrove. They're just Yu Darvish. You thought, and then they went and got Bill Hader last year, and you're thinking, man, they're going to clean up. No, everybody thought they'd be in the hunt with the Dodgers. The Dodgers haven't had the best of seasons, but they're liable to limp in as the division winner.
I mean, you got Miami. Miami's a game and a half out. San Francisco's a game out. Cincinnati's a game out. So
the Cubs are still a game and a half out.
So yeah, it's going to be
going to be interesting. I think that's going to come down to Atlanta, Milwaukee, the Dodgers. Then you're talking probably Phillies, maybe Cubs. I'm not sure where the Diamondbacks are. Miami, 2, 4, 5. That gives you 5 right there. Yeah. It's going to be tough. Those last 2 wild card spots are going to be tough to play for you, right?
Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. So who's that? Castellanos striking out again? He's been so hot and cold for a month. Yep, he did. Struck out with Marsh at second. So, oh well. Well, there we go, bud. That pretty much wraps up all the sports stuff and our NFL picks of the week. So we've got that going for us, which is almost nice. I'm going to go ahead and sign us off unless you have anything else.
No, we looks like we're a little overtime tonight. So
yeah, so let's get out of here.
We'll get out of here and
go ahead.
Enjoy the games, folks.
Enjoy the game. Start tomorrow night. Well, Thursday night on Amazon Prime. You'll see Philly as they host. Who are they hosting? I just had it in front of me. Oh, Minnesota
Vikings.
The Vikings and the Eagles tomorrow night on Amazon Prime with Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit. Enjoy it, everybody. We will talk to you later in the week or next week when we make our picks again, unless any other major sports news comes up. For my pal Dennis Ingraldi at Vineland Realty Corporation, 634 East Landis Avenue in Vineland, New Jersey. For my pal and co-host Billy Smith, thanks, pal. We will talk to you soon. We'll see you next week, folks. Enjoy the games.
Yep.
Oh,
good night.
Good night, everybody. As soon as we can